Okay, I know it's cheesy that I'm making a video, but decided to make a video instead of typing out a really long thing. I'm going to include in this video all the stuff that I used to do the training last Sunday, but the main thing that y'all need to know for this Sunday is that we are going to immediately after church, we're going to put up half the chairs in the auditorium and set up our nine square to play nine square in the gym as the game. And also, we're going to be serving a meal. It's going to be like Sam's chicken Alfredo and garlic bread and salad out of the kitchen here, and we're going to eat in the lobby because there's the wedding shower at 2 in the loft. So we're going to do everything downstairs this week. And so as soon as church is done, I'm going to kind of start setting up or taking down the chairs, ask the church to help take down half the chairs, and setting up the nine square. And at 11:30, I'm going to count on you adults to help serve the food from the kitchen. I'll have the kids eat in the lobby area and tell them not to make a mess. But every week, depending on whether we're in the loft or in the kitchen, I'll need y'all's help with serving the food. One thing that I made a point about in the meeting is you don't have to, but I'd encourage you to try and sit with the kids. Look for if there are any kids sitting by themselves. Look for opportunities to, even though y'all might be the junior high leaders, feel free to sit with the high schoolers. But I would encourage you to just mingle with the kids and talk to them. I know you may think these kids, they don't want to talk to us because we're the same age as their parents. That's not true. If anything, they love, no matter who it is, anyone who's willing to listen and talk with them and make them feel important, that's valuable. So we'll have our meal time. Then after the meal, we'll play nine square. Because nine square is kind of more active, maybe we'll do nine square first. I haven't decided, so that kids can run around before they eat a lot of food, but it's really not a lot of running. It's mostly just jumping. So anyway, then we'll play the game, and that's another thing where you don't have to play nine square, but that could be an opportunity for you to, for the kids to, get to see you in a different way and laugh with you as you're in there playing nine square and having fun with them. Nine square is like four square, except for instead of on the ground, it's up and you hit it like it's volleyball, like into different squares. Okay. And we'll do that every week. We'll have the meal and then a game, and then we'll go into our small group discussions. Now, the small group discussions, I'm going to have a form for you, but this is how it's going to go basically every week. Every week, the number, like say there's 10 junior high kids in your group. That would be a great turnout if there was. At the very beginning, for the first 10 to 15 minutes, you leaders you're going to have your junior high group, y'all and the kids, and y'all are going to divide up and divide the junior high kids between each of you. So say there's 10 kids and there's 4 of y'all, there will be, each of you will have 3 and one of you will have 4. And what you're going to do is you're going to talk to them about, I'll give you questions, but just simple things, icebreaker type questions. But the goal is for that to be a time for them to just get to know you a little better, for you to ask questions and see how they're doing in their life. Whenever you're in a big circle and you ask, all right, y'all, how's everybody doing? All the junior high kids you might have 1 or 2 to talk, but a lot of them will kind of just be like, I don't really want to say something. But whenever it's a small, intimate group of 2 or 3, they're going to be more inclined to tell you if a test went badly, or if they're nervous about something, or if they're loving something that they're enjoying. So you're going to split up into those, and then you're going to come back together. And then when you come back together, the goal is you're going to reflect on the sermon. You're probably thinking junior high kids aren't really the best at listening and paying attention to the sermon. I totally get it. But I don't want it to be the third lesson that they've heard that day. You've heard me say that before, but I want it to be just a reflection on what was talked about. And so each Sunday, I'm going to give them a piece of paper that has prompts from the sermon for an opportunity for them to fill out. I'm going to give it to y'all too, and I'm going to count on y'all to fill that out so that when you get to the sermon reflection time in the small group discussion, you can kind of lead that. So some of the examples are, what's something that Bo said that I had never thought about before, or what's something that Bo said that makes me want to change part of my life, or what's something that Bo said that was confusing to me, or whatever. And so the goal isn't for them to fill out every question. The goal is, as they're listening, if Bo says something that they're like, oh, I really like that, they write it down. And then when you get to that part in the small group discussion, they're able to remember, like, oh yeah, I wrote something down about that. And like I said, it'll take y'all modeling that. It'll take, Jonathan saying, oh, you know what, this was something that stood out to me. And then a kid might say, oh yeah, that stood out to me too. After all of that, if if you still haven't if you still have time left over, I'm planning on y'all's ending at like 1:15, closing in a prayer every week. But let's say it's, you still have 7 minutes to kill or 5 minutes to kill, and you're like, ooh, we've gone through everything Drew said and we still have time left over. I'll have at the bottom of the form kind of some questions or prompts, things to say that have to do with Bo's sermon. So that way you can make sure you make it last. But the hope is that the small group discussion time and then the sermon reflection takes up the whole time. But if it doesn't, you'll have that at the bottom. So just to recap for you, first you're going to have split up into small groups, and that is specifically for the purpose of y'all getting closer to the kids and then trusting you more. Then you'll have sermon reflection time for the purpose of reflecting on what was talked about. It could lead to some good conversations. Some weeks y'all might not have gotten anything, or y'all's discussion may not bring up anything to talk about. And then the last thing is, okay, Bo's sermon was about forgiveness, and Drew's got all these little questions like, hey, what's an example of a really hard time or a time where you had a really hard time forgiving someone, and those kind of things. And then end with, hey, does anybody have anything we need to pray for? Y'all pray. And then from 1:15 till 1:30, when parents are picking up at 1:30, that's just flexible time. If the game goes long, if dinner goes long, if y'all end at 1:15, that's great. That's just 15 minutes where you say, okay, y'all feel free to run around until the parents get here. So if you have any questions, let me know. Read over the outlines that I'm going to email you. See if there's anything that I maybe wrote in there that I didn't say in this. But I think it's going to go well, and I'm excited for this format and excited at the potential of the number of kids that could be in the life group, because we're having it right after church. Feel free to if you notice week one that it would just be easier to split it up, boys and girls. Feel free to do that if you want to. The main hope is that life groups is not this third Bible class of the day. The hope is that it's a time where they're building relationships with each other. They're building relationships with y'all that will benefit now, but more importantly in the future. So, all right, that's everything. Like I said, email me or let me know if you have any questions.